All right, so a couple of things that we need to talk about before we take Zoe on a walk, and I show you kind of what she's been doing. I already tried putting the leash on her once, and I kind of got this tornado. Yep. And honestly, I'm not taking any dog on a walk that acts like that before the walk, because they're just going to get worse. And then I've got the leash hanging here. Every time that I grab the leash, she has turned into slightly more of a tornado than before. She certainly knows what's going on. She knows where the gate is. All right, sit. Zoe, sit. Yes. Let's talk a little bit about her harness. She's got a clip back here at the back where I could clip this leash. And any clip back there is going to give her a lot more leverage than I want her to have, which is to say I don't want her hurt, but I also don't want her to have the upper end of things. And I don't want to fight with her. You'll notice that her clip also, or her harness also has a D-ring on the front, on her chest, which is going to give me more leverage. She's going to get a drink real quick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask her to sit, and then I'm going to put that leash, this leash, on the front of her chest, just like I could with Luca's right here. And hold on. So she behaved pretty well for that. Now, the next thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm the person who's going out of the gate first, or at least that I can do so safely. I'm going to hold part of this leash here, and then normally I would hold the other part in my other hand here, but I'm just going to go ahead and create a thumb lock, which is where I wrap the leash around my thumb and then I close my hand. Now, if there's an emergency, I can get out of this one-handed very quickly. But I don't anticipate any emergencies today. She doesn't chase the cats or the chickens around here. Get back. I do want them to understand, both of them, that I'm allowed to go out of this gate without them giving me a lot of grief about it. Yes, good dogs. And they can wait here quietly. I am going to observe the gate, get back, and the area immediately outside for any potential issues that might come my way. Zoe, you can come, but not you, Luca. That's a good boy. Good girl, Zoe. All right. Now, just a second while I get this latch back, because we want everybody safe. And go back to my thumb loop. You'll notice that Zoe is already tangled. That's her problem, not mine. And she's got enough leash that she could pull. She'd certainly get herself into trouble if she wanted. But not so much that I'm going to get pulled off my feet. You'll notice I'm also not holding my hand up super high. It's about waist length. And anytime that she pulls, I'm going to stop. The point of going on a walk is for a dog to sniff and exercise their brain. Not as much, certainly not in these circumstances, for them to get out and get physical exercise. I'm perfectly capable of exercising dogs physically without ever taking them on a walk outside. And in fact, if you know of a dog who is not great on a leash, or they're super stressed out by other dogs or very reactive, now she's wrapped around me, which caused tension, and we're going to stop and stand here, then I highly recommend that dogs that are stressed out by going on walks don't go on walks. Find a time or a place for them to relieve themselves effectively and safely, and don't worry about going on a walk. That dog is not benefited by going on a long walk, and we certainly don't want to do anything with our dogs that doesn't benefit them. Okay? This way, sweetheart. So, now we're in the pasture, and we've got chickens right over there, but you'll notice that Zoe is really, other than getting caught in the gate. Come here, honey. Zoe, back up, honey. Good girl. Zoe's really not super interested in the chickens. There's cats running around. There's horses out here. And she's not pulling a whole lot. Good girl. That's right. Now I could reward her here. I'd use a marker word if I was going to. But I think for her, getting out and doing something new is sufficient reward. Now there's tension on the leash, yes. And I'm going to stop every time that there's tension on the leash. Now I can pull on her. Double standards are fine, but I don't want her pulling on me. Now I'm sure you can't tell, but there's more than a dozen chickens right over here. So what we're going to do is we're going to stand here and practice something called offer detention. I'm going to set up the camera so that you can see what that looks like. Yes, good girl. And on both ends, not just what I'm doing with the dog while I hold the camera, but you'll be able to see me too. And we're going to do it in the presence, yes, of some really awesome distractions. The cat might show up. The chickens are over there doing chicken things. Yes, good girl. And I'm going to reward her for paying attention to me and ignoring the distractions. Might go down there in the shade. I don't know. I might not have any place to put the camera, but let me get this set up and then I'll be right back. Come here, Zoe. Yes. All right. Okay. So, whoop. Yes, good girl. So we've got Zoe and we're out here, and I'm sure you can't see them because of the way the light's hitting everything and the shade, but we've got chickens over there, like a dozen chickens back there. They're roaming all over the place, and I don't know if you can tell, but I more or less have Zoe's attention. She glances back at me every couple of minutes. Her brother's on the other side of the fence. She can hear him whining, and that's certainly a distraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here, yes, and I'm going to wait for Zoe to make eye contact with me. Every time that she does, I'm going to mark that behavior and then reward her, okay? So, yes. Yes. And I'm sure she reacts to squirrels being much, much farther away than this particular instance. Yes. But, you'll notice I'm not saying her name. Yes. We've played this game once with her yesterday. I am going to turn away from her. Her job is now to get up and come around and look at my face. Now, it's my job to be looking for her. You'll notice I have some rather tasty, scrumptious things called cheese in my hand, and she knows that. But her job is not to find my hand. Her job, yes, is to find my eyes. So every time she finds my eyes, I can get up and turn away, and you notice she gets up and goes, well, I can't see your face if I'm staring at your back, so I'm going to stand up. Right now she's looking for my fingers. That's not what I want. So I'm just going to stand here and be patient. The cue for her to come and look me in the eye is just simply that I'm holding a leash and not giving her any other cue. Okay? So if I'm holding a leash, yes. And there's a squirrel that walks by. The squirrel eventually becomes the cue that, hey, you should definitely notice your handler. And instead of running after the squirrel, she goes, there's a squirrel. Mom, what was that? Right? And obviously I'm not mom, but that's the general principle. Or dad, whomever. I did not wear her out prior to this. She had potty break this morning and breakfast, and then another potty break, and then I started the camera effectively. Yes, that's what I want. So this is what offered attention looks like. Yes. If she seems to be struggling or taking a lot longer in between finding my face, then I'm probably going to reward more easily than I would if she were not struggling. But in the meantime, yes, you'll notice that sped things up. So everywhere we go, we are going to practice this offered attention. So if she looks at me, she gets rewarded for that because that's a behavior I want to see more of. If we're walking nicely on a leash, we get to keep walking because that's a behavior I want to see more of. But she doesn't pull a whole lot. She doesn't pull really for very long whenever she's with us. Just I really think it's boredom and she needs more stimulation. So we're going to keep stimulating her and giving her all kinds of enrichment while she's here, and it'll be your job when she comes home.